Oh, there we are.
Hey,
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cuddle Conversations. I'm
hey
Sheila
guys.
Ryan, and
And
I'm a
I'm
Cuddle
Asia.
Ambassador. And yeah,
Yep. And I'm Asia Perello, another Cuddle ambassador.
we are super excited today because we have a fantastic surprise for all of you. So if you stay up with what's going on with Shannon Fabrics, you know that during the Cuddle Conversations, if you ask us a question beforehand that we can answer on the live stream, you're entered to win some quilting or something from Shannon, and it's always gorgeous fabric. So, Ajer, what are we talking about today? And tell us why today is extra fun.
Okay, so it is National Quilting Month, you guys. So with the new quilting Cuddle, we're extra excited this year for National Quilting Month. So obviously we've been quilting with Cuddle for years. It's never been an issue. But with quilting Cuddle, we've kind of been able to take things up a notch. So we'll talk all about, quilting Cuddle, what we do with regular Cuddle for quilting. We'll do all that today. But the topic today is quilting with Cuddle.
Yes. So, well, let's tell everybody what the prize is today. So,
Uh,
we want you to share so that more people can learn about quilting cuddle because we get these questions all the time. So,
mhm.
obviously, there are people that need to know what we're talking about today. So y'all share to your socials. You can copy the link from either YouTube or Facebook, and you can share it. Maybe you have a sewing community, or you want to post us somewhere. Just
I'm
just
doing
share the
mine
video.
right now, you guys. I'm sharing right now. So if you see on
Nice.
my phone, that's what I'm doing. I'm sharing now.
I'll do mine in just a second. But the other thing that you can do, if you have a question about quilting with Cuddle Fabrics, and that's it's a topic that takes more than an hour to talk about. But if you have a question, and it's this is your time to ask it. So we will answer it, and if we don't know, we will find the answer and then put it in the
Yep.
comments for this whole thing. So it is it is this is your time to get those burning questions answered. So we want to know what is concerning you. Okay. Or
Yes.
just
Yes.
what questions you have. So I'm going to
Yep.
share mine too.
All right. So the prize for today is, we're going to pick three winners, and each one is going to get a fat quarter pack of quilting Cuddle. Fat quarter packs come like this. They're by collection, and the options are here. I'm going to pull up a picture really quick. So we've got either the cottage rose in this is the let's see, it's cottage rose in, what's it called, blue bonnet. So that's
Blue
the blue
bonnet.
bonnet colorway, gorgeous. And this is great for if you're doing any kind of quilts or anything with Americana theme this year with the anniversary. It's great, really good Americana colors. And then this is the seashell colorway, and it is just, greens and pinks are my absolute favorite. So it's gorgeous, and we have tons of stuff to show you guys, but those, you can choose one or the other if you win. So we'll contact you, or you'll contact us, and then we'll figure out which one of those fat quarter packs you want. And those are nice. Those fat quarter packs you can do quite a bit with.
They are so nice. I see some of our regular friends here with us. Some of our Cuddle ambassadors are in the chat. So, y'all, please do not be shy about asking your questions.
Mhm.
Because, like I said, if Ajay and I don't know, which there's a lot we don't know, we're still learning too. But there are people here that do know things. So,
Yeah.
we could, yeah, just about getting started all day long. But Ajay, can you tell us a little bit about what our special treat for everybody is today? Who's
All
our
right.
guest?
Yes. So we have a guest. We didn't tell you guys we were having a guest, but we are. She is another Cuddle ambassador. She's a recent addition to our Cuddle ambassadors, and we are so excited because we've been admiring her from afar for years. She's been making quilts with Cuddle forever, and oh my gosh, I can't wait for you guys to meet her. But I'll pull her on now. It is. Let me pull her on. Okay, we're adding you to the stage. It is Billie Veerkamp. We're so
Hi.
excited to have you here. Can you hear us, Billie?
Yep, I can
Yep,
hear
we
you.
can hear you. Yay.
Yay.
Um, so if you guys have any questions for Billie, you may, I'm sure if you're in the I Love Fabric, Cuddle Fabric group, you have seen her beautiful work. But she's just an amazing quilter. And if you have any questions, this is like the person to ask because she has done everything with Cuddle. If it can be done with Cuddle, she's done it.
Yeah.
It is so much fun to be able to share uh, information with people who want to use Cuddle and
Yes.
people who are ready to put it on their long arm and sew with it and do all the fun things and that cotton can do, except for it's way nicer. I I've always been in love with Cuddle, even when we only had C3 to sew with. So now that we have all these different smaller weights and thicker weights, it's way fun, way fun.
Yes.
All right. So, Billy, let me ask you first because quilting is just an enormous field. Like there are quilting has lots of parts. We piece fabric together, we layer it with a backing, and then we quilt through those layers and then bind it all together. That's what makes a quilt, right?
Right?
So, in the process, let's start from the very beginning. When you're piecing with Cuddle, tell us your experience about piecing. So we'll kind of do this with like the three different, I guess, steps of quilting, but tell us about piecing with Cuddle. Like what are your, how do you make your decisions or yeah, just go.
Well, a lot of it is based on color. You know, I mean, everybody who is a quilter is probably almost an expert at color theory and you just don't know it, because you can try out different colors and go, no, 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 you don't, no, you aren't playing well with everybody else. And then when you've got that perfect array all set out and start cutting, of course, the quilting cuddle is, in my opinion, just like cotton. You don't need a stabilizer. You don't need anything along the edges. You just pin it and sew it just like cotton does. I mean, it is amazing. It is also amazing to be able to mix it with C3, because then you get in your quilts a little bit different height, a little visual change that you were looking for, or be able to turn the fabric and get a different color that you weren't looking for, which is amazing. And of course, putting it on the long arm is fabulous. And I can't say that there's one way to press the seams because a lot of it depends on your pattern.
Yeah.
If your pattern is asking you to press them all one way so they'll nest with the next row, then do it that way. If it's asking you not to and you feel more comfortable pressing it open so that you can match your seams better, do it that way. In my opinion, there is no, you gotta do it this way.
Yeah.
I just don't believe that that works in every situation. It just doesn't.
Mm.
So then, I have a long arm. I have a handy quilter, Fusion 24 with a pro stitcher, and I use all kinds of cuddle backing, either uh, the C3, the digital prints, the 90 wide, all of them, and I always use batting. I know there's some people who live in really, really warm places who don't want it that warm. I like it because it makes such a cool loft when you quilt it, so that when you do make really, really cool designs, in your quilting, it's like everybody goes, ooh, and it was like,
Mhm.
yeah, I, I did that, so it's way fun.
That's what I love the solids for. Like I love solids because if you're going to be doing some of that fancy quilting, it just makes it pop. Whether it's
Yes.
a solid um quilting cuddle, whether it's a solid C3, like it
Yep.
just really lets that gorgeous quilting stand out. So we have a
Mhm.
question here. Well, we've got a bunch of questions.
Okay.
But Jana asks, does Billy have a favorite cuddle? Now, is that a tough one to answer?
Uh, you know, I don't think I do because it is so dependent on the pattern. I love C3 and I love the quilting cuddle. I love the Luxe cuddle.
Mm.
I have learned, I got this little tool and I wish I had it sitting here at my desk, but I don't. Um, there, and it looks like a little tiny rake. And
Mhm.
what I bought it for, and I saw it online, and it's for cleaning out hair out of hairbrushes.
Mhm.
But I bought it to clean out the fur out of the seams when you're
Yep.
quilting,
Yep.
and it just cuddles them right out,
That's great.
so you can use Lux if you're doing little tiny, really intricate quilting designs. It kind of gets lost
Yeah.
if you're doing
Mm.
Lux, but if you're doing a solid on the front, sometimes it doesn't matter,
Yep.
I mean, so,
Mhm.
I wanna just take a quick second to show a couple of your quilts just so people can see the work that you're talking about. So we do have a couple of them here. Like, do you wanna talk just a little bit? I mean, I know it's not a huge view, but people can kinda see. Do you wanna talk a little bit about some of these that I'll pull up here?
sure. This is all done with C3, and I think it was the batiks
Mhm.
that made the kind of colors go in and out. Um, uh, I love 3D quilts. I
Oh, it's
mean,
beautiful.
they're just, and I have several grandsons, and they love getting the 3D more than girly quilts
Uh-huh.
for the granddaughters, So, but yeah, I've done several of this pattern. I've got the instructions all written out for this pattern.
Oh, did you
Um,
design this one?
well, I took the pictures off. I saw it and then drew it out.
Uh-huh.
I saw it going, and I couldn't find a pattern for it
Yep.
anywhere. And so I thought, well, then I'll have to just draw it and
That's awesome.
figure it out, So I'm a old school graph paper, figure it out and then put it onto the computer kind
Yep.
of person. So
I love that.
yeah,
So I've got a couple more to show, but here's
mhm.
another question that we asked. Um, what would you say is the most important thing to practice or pay attention to when using the new quilting cuddle? So like quilting cuddle versus C3. Have you noticed a difference of technique?
Actually, it acts way more if you're used to quilting with cotton. It acts way more like cotton than C3. It is a little less fuzzy when you've got it, depending, of course, what kind of quilting you're doing. If you've got it on the long arm, it has a little less fuzz than C3, that will build up in you know, checking and cleaning, that's always part of the deal when you long arm. But it really holds up and quilts just like C3, except for it doesn't stretch as much. So it's
Mm,
much more just like cotton. The squares stay square. I think everybody would have less trouble keeping something square in their long arm or underneath the sewing machine.
yep.
Either one. They're pretty
I
similar.
I would totally agree. So uh, Jay and I were talking with you beforehand. So I'm not a quilter. I'm
Mhm.
an all things sewer, and I know how to quilt, and I'm learning quilting techniques, right? But one of the things that I first started with Cuddle was like I love half square triangles in cotton.
Yes.
I mean, I love them, and that is not where I should have started with regular Cuddle, right?
Yeah.
But with quilting Cuddle, my half square triangles are no problem at all. And it wasn't impossible with C3. I just didn't know that I needed to stabilize things
Yes.
so they didn't stretch and
Right.
pay attention to that. Like the bias, it stretches across the width, but then those bias edges stretch in a different way too, which we can take advantage of. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. But, there's all those other little things that when you're working with a fabric that is not, it doesn't act like cotton, that you just don't know until you start playing with it. And you've done all kinds of experiments with all kind. I mean, like I've studied your quilts because I've gotten to see
Mm.
some of them in person, and like you've done all kinds of things, like the cathedral windows and the curves, and of course squares and triangles. But yeah,
Well, that's
Right.
what's funny, but
And
she just mentioned that squares stay square, and that I just want to show people this picture. This is one that you're kind of working on now.
right.
Um, and so there's not, I mean, I know this is made with squares, but you have, there's so many curves here. And so you're talking about squares staying square, but look at those curves. This is
But
gorgeous.
this is quilting Cuddle,
Yep.
and it acts no different than cotton. I mean,
Uh-huh.
on a curve, you measure in the middle, or you pin in the middle and pin on the ends, and the rest
Yep.
of it just squeezes in. And every one of these is done with a 1/4 inch seam allowance,
Ah, perfect.
just on regular sewing. And I cut all of those out just like you would cotton. I
Yeah.
mean, just exactly like you would cotton.
Oh, I love that.
I love that too.
All right, so we
And
did have
I
some more questions. Sorry, Sheila.
no, that's
I
okay. Go
know
ahead.
that
Let's do another
we
question.
did get that question about compare how does quilting cuddle compare to cuddle when embroidering. So I don't know if you do any embroidering, but I imagine it's similar to when you're doing the quilting too. Like, how does it
Right.
compare?
Well, it compares very, very nicely. I mean, other than, the little extra um, length in the fuzz, um, I've quilted on it with, I have a 15 needle brother, and it does just as well. You uh, put the same kind of topper on it, to keep all the stitches on top. But again, the quilting Cuddle acts more like cotton, but I still put a topper on it just like I would C3 or anything else. So
Yeah, I think
it's,
that's good practice.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
because then you don't lose your stitches, I mean, and so if you're going to go to all the work to do that embroidery, you might as well get credit and let them show, let them shine.
Exactly. Exactly. I love this question. So Kathy wants to know, do you mix quilting with cotton on your quilt tops?
I have. I'm done cotton with, of course, I 999 times out of 100, I will almost always use Cuddle on the back. But
Mhm.
I have mixed cotton and Cuddle. The only difference is I always make sure that I wash that cotton like crazy and starch it in advance, because it shrinks at Cuddle doesn't shrink.
Right.
And so cotton shrinks at a different rate than and just to keep crazy things from happening after you've thrown it in the washing machine. But I've been sewing with Cuddle for 15 years. Well, longer than that. I have a granddaughter who's 20, and I made a baby quilt for her, and she still has it. So, and it went through the ringer. She drug it around behind her till the cows came home, and it's amazing. I mean,
That's
it
great.
just works like iron. There were a few of the silky places I had to replace, but not the Cuddle places.
Yeah, it's amazing how well it stands up to
Yeah.
washing and everything. We did get a couple of questions ahead of time. Oh, that's so funny. This was what I was just going to ask. So Debbie Day McMillan asked on our post from yesterday, if a seam allowance on a quilt pattern calls for 1/4 inch, do you have to press it open, or will nesting seams work on quilting Cuddle? I'd also like you to talk just a little bit about that 1/4 inch seam thing, and then can it be used just like quilting cotton, which you've already answered that for us.
Absolutely. Well, and you can nest them just as easily. I mean, and it depends what your pattern calls for and what you're comfortable with. Not everybody is comfortable saying, I'm going to nest all these seams exactly like it tells me. Some of them just go, I'm not doing that. And it's like, great, you don't need to. It's not. And the 1/4 inch seam allowance, I put a 1/4 inch foot on my, I have a 1/4 inch walking foot, So it works wonderfully on there, and I've been sewing with a 1/4 inch seam allowance literally forever. But I've also used, real thin strips of, wait 1 second. I happen to have some here. This is super sheer weight iron-on stabilizer.
Mhm.
When I use a lot of Cuddle that is just crazy stretchy, crazy, insane stretchy, I have a cutter that cuts 3/4 inch wide
Oh, that's so
strips.
smart. So smart.
So I can cut a bolt of stabilizer and put them in bags, and so
Oh,
I've always got them, you know, um, right there.
that
Uh,
tip alone might have been worth the price of admission today, guys. Like, that is so smart. So smart.
well, and AccuCutter has the plates for 3/4 inch
Yeah.
wide
Yeah, I've never
Yeah.
stabilizer.
even thought about that. I mean, it's just so smart. So
Yeah,
smart.
and so cut them to your 60-inch wide for Cuddle, and 360-inch long pieces of 24-inch wide is 5 yards. And so I can do 5 yards at a time and roll it through and put them in Ziploc baggies. And I'm like, okay, there's my 5 yards. I'm good.
Yeah.
So it it works wonderfully, just on the back, because it doesn't take the super sheer stabilizer doesn't take very much pressing on the back side of the quilt
Mhm.
to fuse it. So, I mean, you're pretty much good to go if you've got one that's just decides it wants to go wonky,
Mhm.
or it would have also fixed doing diagonals,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
So
I
this
was just thinking I was just thinking that too, like, so the part with the triangles, the bias
yeah.
edge,
yeah,
you've got the widthwise stretch plus the bias
yeah,
stretch, and you may not want to stabilize all of your pieces for the quilt because you want the quilt to be,
so,
wrappable,
right,
and just putting a little strip on the edge is just genius, and
yeah.
I think I have that die, and I might be cutting strips of fusible this afternoon.
Yeah, I don't have it, and I might be going to get it today is what I might be doing, because
There
I
you
think
go.
that's so smart.
There you
So
go.
just to confirm, you are just putting that strip on the edge of
Just
your
on the
pieces.
edge. That's
Yep,
all.
perfect.
Yeah,
I love
I
that.
So smart.
because I don't want to take away from that ooey gooey,
Yeah.
softy, yummy,
Mhm.
and it doesn't.
Mhm.
It just is. I mean, this is only 3/4 inches wide.
Yep.
Yeah.
You use a
Do
quarter
you
inch
have a
seam.
favorite stabilizer? Like, do you have one that you recommend?
It's Pellon, what sheer or super sheer. Get the sheerest one you
Yep.
can,
Okay. Yep.
and like I said, if I don't know if you
Woven,
can
so it's
see how
woven.
sheer that is. I mean,
Yeah.
you can,
Yep, perfect.
you know, um, and I've used the fusible and then not even sewn it on. Just put it underneath the foot of
Yep.
your sewing machine and let it just be along the edge. And so, because it's along the edge, you don't necessarily have to press it.
Mm,
It all depends how far out you're planning yourself,
yeah.
So,
Oh, so you mean you
but
haven't pressed it before? You've done it before without pressing,
yeah,
just using it
absolutely.
as yourself. Perfect.
Yep, yep, yep.
That's
It
That
awesome.
works either
that
way.
is
So,
that was worth the price of admission.
It was. Absolutely. That was it. We're done for today. No, I'm just
there
kidding.
you go. There you go.
No, we're not.
No,
We've got
lots
way more
more.
Way
questions for
more, way
you.
Lots more.
more. Yeah.
So Jana asks, "What's your favorite lining material for cuddle garments?" Which is actually a really good question because a lot of us do use cuddle to make quilted jackets and
Mhm.
quilted, hoodies. So if we're going to line a garment with that we make out of cuddle, what do you like to use? Because you make a lot of garments too.
I do. And I like silk, silk
Mm.
or satin or anything that, mostly because one, it makes it super warm without being super heavy. So when you put your arms in it, no matter what you're wearing, if you're wearing a fuzzy sweater, if you're wearing something that isn't as silky as the inside of Cuddle, it just slides right on. I love it. This one is the only, I think, cuddle hoodie that I've made that doesn't have silk, but silk in a hoodie makes it so it doesn't mess up your hair. So you can go out for a jog, throw the hood up, and not come out looking like Medusa. So which is always a good thing, when you're running in and out. But I really do like silk inside.
I do want to show, this isn't one of Billie's. This is one of Teresa Coates. Let me see, where is that quilt coat? I think you guys have seen this before, but this is just that quilt coat that she did. Was this for market this year, Sheila? Did you guys
Yeah,
have
that
it
was it.
there?
Yep, that
Cute.
was at Quilt Market.
Can
Really
you
cute.
just talk a little bit about it, Sheila? Because I know you saw it in
It's
person.
just gorgeous. So Teresa actually did a Sew Together live for Shannon not too long ago, talking about how she put this together, her techniques. This is her elemental coat pattern, which is a fantastic pattern. It's just really, really nice to use. But those squares on it aren't printed. Those are pieced. And you can see she's got the triangle. So she's got that bias edge plus the knit to deal with, and it came out beautifully. So she pieced it, quilted it, and then made the jacket out of it, and it was just a showstopper.
And if we're looking to line, I do a lot of not necessarily quilt coats, but coats with Cuddle, and I'll often use the Shannon Fabrics Silky Satin because it's polyester as well. So it feels like silk. It has that same effect of the silk, but it is it's not going to do any kind of shrinking. I can throw the entire thing into the wash, especially my kids' coats. I can just throw it into the wash and it's all going to launder beautifully and there's no issues with it. So that's been an awesome product to use too. So if you can find the Shannon Fabrics Silky Satin, that's a great lining for quilt coats for the same reasons that Billie was talking about.
You know
right,
what?
so
And
we have some other questions. Well, Sheila, do you have a question for Billie?
well, let me go back too, because this kind of relates to the quilt jacket thing, and then also the quilting with cotton fabrics. But somebody asked about the batting to use for quilting, which is really important because you've got lots of choices in what kind of batting you use. And I know what I like, but Billie, tell us what you like as far as batting goes.
Again, it all depends on the pattern, on how much puff you want, how light you want. I love Quilter's Dream 80/20 because it's got a little bit of loft to it. I also like the Hobbs 80/20. It's they all hold up really well for those that I'm gonna quilt really, really densely, but I don't want a lot of loft. So a lot of it depends on what your pattern tells you it needs and what your plan is for it. If you're going to just do a quilt it to death, then maybe you don't want one so lofty, in the fluff department. If you really want those big loopy feathers to puff up in between, then you do want a little bit more loft.
Are you using a batting that has, so you're using an 80/20, so you've got some cotton and some polyester. Why?
Polyester. Well,
Why?
and I've only because it's got a little bit of polyester. I have not ever experienced my batting shrinking. I've also used
That's
wool.
great.
I've not ever experienced any issues with my batting acting weird inside there. So I can't speak to those kind of issues because I've not ever experienced them, because I do quilt fairly densely. And so maybe because I do, it holds everything in place, you know.
I think you're absolutely right. I know, and batting has come a long way. We've got better technology now, so I don't know that modern battings are going to shred or fall apart in between the layers, especially when you've got a lot of quilting like you do. But that is something to consider. So that little bit of polyester gives it a little bit more structure and stability.
Right.
So I tend to use like 100% polyester batting when I'm doing all Cuddle. Like if it's Cuddle on the front, Cuddle on the back. It's going to have all poly in the middle. And that way, I mean, even my thread's polyester, right? So I'm
Yeah.
keeping everything matching.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I love the way you're thinking. And really it does, we do have to kind of think about how we want it to end up. So we think with the end in mind. Is this a looking at quilt that needs to be stiff and hang on the wall and not be saggy? Or is this a snuggling up quilt? Because
Yeah.
that does make a difference.
It does.
Mhm.
It does. You know,
Yeah.
and
So here,
everybody has, you know, different places where they live to where they want. I mean, I've
Mm.
used 2 layers of Quilter's Dream to totally puff it up because I wanted, it was one that was going to hang on the wall and I wanted all those quilting stitches to show, you
Mhm.
know, and to look like, but in Montana, like I said, I have a cuddle quilt on my bed year round. You know, uh, I like the weight. I like the warmth. You
Mhm.
know, we live in the mountains and I, I like it, you
I
know,
love
so
that.
and the
Now,
only way to find out what you like is actually to make one and then see and
exactly.
adjust
exactly.
for your next one. I mean, like,
Yeah.
get out there, make a quilt.
Yeah.
Mhm. And people are
Absolutely.
always asking us, do you have to have batting in a quilt with Cuddle? And we always say, no, you don't have to. It's personal preference. It's beautiful if it's in there. It does puff up a little bit. It can show the stitches, but you can make it your own. I've seen quilts that don't have any batting in them that look gorgeous
Yeah.
with the Cuddle. So that's always a question. So I love that you talked about the batting you use and your experiences with it.
Yeah. And I've done a couple without, only because I was sending them to Florida and they said,
Uh-huh.
don't make them too warm. And it was like, okay, okay, I can do that. And
Yep.
I still quilted it just the same. The stitches show just as nicely because there is you know, a little bit of loft on the front and the back. So, but
Mhm.
they were Cuddle on the front and Cuddle on the back. So
That's
it
great. I do
works.
want to show another quilt just with a little bit more detail that you have here. Um, I hope this is coming through, this detail in this picture, but I mean, just I love the quilting detail in this one.
Yeah, that, you know, those, you know, come with a set of patterns. I think I did 9 of those, you know, between the purples and the blues and uh for requested for anniversary presents that, you
Mm,
know, got I think I did a couple 50-year anniversary things and yeah, they're amazing to do because of course Cuddle just shows every single little bit of work that you
mhm.
do, which is way cool.
And this
It
picture
it
shows that backing. So in this one, you can really see that detail work on the backing, which is just absolutely stunning. I love seeing that.
Yeah.
I
Well,
love that. I love
Cuddle is
all
a
of it.
star. I mean, you gotta admit, no matter what you do, Cuddle makes your work just go, ah.
It
It
does.
really
It's
does.
not just for the snuggliness. It's not just for that. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
that's part of the package, but
Yeah, it's part of the package.
I mean, it's almost like magic because you can really get your stitches to show up, but if you make a mistake, you can hide them really well. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like the best of both worlds,
yep.
really.
You're speaking my language, Sheila. That's exactly
Jenny's asking, I think that she's thinking the quilting cuddle would be nice for clothing. Do you agree? I agree. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Billy, do you
I
agree?
do
Is
too.
there,
I
yeah.
absolutely agree. I mean, it is just a little bit lighter weight, a little bit less um, stretchiness to it. But again, even when you're doing around the armholes and everything else that you feel like, well, it might not be matching up the way I want. Remember, you can always use just a little bit of stabilizer along the edge and it'll be gone by the time you get it all sewn together. So,
I also
That
think
is
the
so
drape of the
perfect.
quilting cuddle is a little bit nicer. I
mm,
just want to show really quick. I do have, um, I'll just show the
there you are.
so that's a quilting cuddle piece here, and it's just you can see it's very drapey. And then this is a digital print, so this is Q3 or C3, sorry. and it still hangs, but it's just a little bit heavier. It's just not, there's something about this one that I just, oh, it's just got a little bit more to it or something. I can't really
Mhm.
explain it.
It's almost
Well,
silky. I mean, it's silky.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's got that drapey element,
Hmm.
that that you
I
always
do
look
that.
for when you're
There we go.
making clothes. Technical term, drapey element.
Exactly, drapey. I know, I'm like, it's a little bit more drapey.
You are one of us. Oh, you know what? Jackie's commenting too here. Jackie said she made a top with a quilting cuddle, and actually, she just posted it yesterday or this
Yes.
morning. It's
Mhm.
gorgeous. So she took the
Mhm.
tamarack jacket, and she said, in she's using the pieces as her pattern pieces, and so the jacket has a split front. Well, she just cut that piece on the fold, and honestly, it is just a beautiful, beautiful
Mhm.
top that she made. And that quilting cuddle is just so nice and snuggly. It really feels good on the back side as well
Mhm.
as, I mean, of course, the lush minky on the front. But
Yep.
y'all go check that out in the I Love Cuddle Fabric Facebook group, which
Yeah.
we invite everybody watching to come join us. Because if you like this conversation that we're having, this is all we do over there too.
Yep. Absolutely. And any patterns that you have that are for wovens, any kind of tops and stuff, this would work beautifully for that because it really is. It doesn't have quite the stretch that a C3 even does. And so it's really minimal stretch at all. So I wouldn't use it for any like knit patterns, but for a woven, oh, it's going to have some really nice drape for that for most things.
Yeah, it really is. Now we do, I mean, just to kind of throw another element to that conversation, Shannon does have a fabric with a lot of stretch called Marshmallow Cuddle that's
Mm,
brand new. It's got a lot of stretch. So
mhm.
for those those garments that you need a lot of stretch for, that
Yep.
are made for knit fabric, those are perfect for that. But that's called Marshmallow Cuddle, and we could quilt with it too. But it does have a lot of stretch. So that's
Yes.
we're not talking about that today. We should do a show on that soon. We
I
need
know.
more
Yep, for
marshmallow.
sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm. That's on
yeah.
the list.
Okay. On the list, on the list. Okay. So we've got more quilts to show. Azir,
Yeah.
show us some of the other quilts that Billy's made because we all go gaga for them whenever we get to see them.
Okay, let's see. Billy, I don't do you didn't do this one, did you? Was
Yep.
this you? Okay,
Yep.
I saw those curves and was like, gosh, this has to be her.
Yep.
Sheila, was this one at market too?
Yes, it was. And honestly, I remember when they were hanging this one on the wall, I was like, hold up, because the
Yep,
back of this one is just phenomenal. Like
it
just
is.
by itself is really incredible. But this is a gorgeous quilt, and with those curves, that drunkard's path with the little bitty little square corners in between them all, it's just phenomenal. It
Uh-huh.
was really a show-stopping piece.
And
And now was this
again,
quilting cuddle?
it was one of those that is just like cotton. If
Mhm.
you can do a curve on cotton, you can do a curve on quilting cuddle. You will be absolutely successful.
This is a
Somebody
great
asked,
question here.
yeah, is it difficult to keep people from touching your show quilts because they look so inviting?
Good point. I used to do I used to do a show at the library, and they would have 10 of my whatever 10 I'd done throughout the year, and they would hang them. And yeah, it you know people have to touch cuddle.
Yes.
It just goes without saying, and I would just bring them home and wash them before I'd put them on the it you can't keep I couldn't keep from being touching them. I go in a quilt
Right.
store, and the first thing I do is touch the fabric, and then I look down and see if I like the color, because if I don't like the way it feels, it's like, okay, move on,
Yep.
find something else. Nope, that wasn't it. I mean, but I'm very tactile, and I think most people are. They want that, oh, that feels good,
Hmm.
kind of
That really
thing.
is part of the magic of cuddle, and
It is.
it does good things to our brain, calms us
Mhm.
down,
It
just
does.
gives us a good feeling. It's really good. Oh, and so people are already asking, and so probably we got to switch to this part of quilting. Let's talk about the process of actually doing the quilting. We've got our quilt sandwich, we've got our piece top, our batting, and then we add our backing. And I know on these quilts that you've shown us, they have Cuddle on the back. So it's a true Cuddle quilt all the way through and through. So maybe we need to answer this question first about
Yeah.
doing curves on Cuddle. But after you do that, tell us about the process of long arming, because that's how
Long
you quilt, right?
Right. That's how
Okay.
I quilt because I have a long arm. I've got my machine all set up, da da da, and I'm working on that one with circles,
Yes.
quilting it.
I cannot
And
wait to see that one finished. It's going to be so
yeah,
gorgeous.
that is going to be cool. The I use a spoon foot. I don't use unless I'm really doing some fine free motion that I really want to see closer with the open toe foot. I use the spoon foot because it slides over the seams a lot better. When I set up my machine, have every person's long arm comes with it preset at a certain height above the plate. And I know how to raise and lower mine. And instead of having the traditional plate, I put in an extra, two extra business cards underneath of it because I wanted it raised up about a 16th of an inch higher, just so that it would go over all the really big bulky seams. I use a size 18 needle, and I use so fine between 50 and 40 weight thread on the top and the bottom, because it just goes in and out, of Cuddle so fabulously. I've never really had much of an issue. Um, if I feel like when I'm rolling it onto the long arm and it's got too much stretch on the side, I'll just, before I put it on there, again, my little handy dandy uh, stabilizer along the edge, and it prevents you from overstretching. It prevents you from getting a little bit, well, I just one more click. Well, maybe not. Maybe that's not the best thing,
Mm.
but again, it just sews fabulously, and it does get bulky and you lose throat space because you've got Cuddle on the front and Cuddle
Mm.
on the back and batting, so your roll gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you roll it on the back, and it does make you lose throat space. So if you're planning on having a block somewhere in your quilt and you only have 16 inches of throat space, and now your batting on the back has taken up an extra 2.5, 3 inches, you need to pre-plan that,
Mm.
because otherwise you get to that block and you go, okay, I'm going to have to take that block off, put it in the computer and break it apart to
Mm.
be able to use it, and some people aren't comfortable doing that. You know, I, I wouldn't have an issue doing it, but it's one extra step. And when you're already long arming, it's like, dadgummit, now I got to stop,
Mhm. Yeah,
so,
Helen Powers was asking, she said, "Can I assume you quilt each square, or do you program the design in your long arm?" So it sounds like you're kind of planning out square by square to accommodate that throat, right?
right. And some of it is, you have a design that you wanted just on that one focal place inside your quilt. And
Mm.
so you try to uh, get it so that that one focal design, even though you're quilting out on one side and you're quilting out different on the other side, that that focal square or focal portion will fit inside your throat.
Mm.
So it's just I call it monkey math. You just have to kind of uh, okay, how many inches down and where am I going to be when that little booger comes up?
Yeah.
So it works. You just, some of it has to be pre-planned because I don't do a lot of just edge to edge stuff. I do free motion, some of it with the computer and Pro Stitcher, and some of it just, it all works out. It's kind of a little bit of a blend of everything.
Hmm.
I
So do you
love
see this
that.
question here? I want to make a reversible quilted vest with Lux Cuddle on one side and cotton selvages on the other. Do you have any advice for an adventurous beginner like me?
If you're gonna use, I think it would work. You're gonna have to super pin a lot. I mean, because you've got two different, you got a thick weight and a not so thick weight. Make
Hmm.
sure that all your cotton is washed and starched in advance, because
Hmm.
boy, the second you end up tossing that baby into the washing machine and your cotton goes and your Lux Cuddle just goes, hang
Hmm.
on, I'm hanging out doing good. You're not going to be happy with the end result, and it's all about getting the result you want, you
And
know.
then, so you mentioned the pinning. Do you ever use a basting spray or you always pin? Like, what do you recommend for that?
It all depends. It's like on that Mexican star I did, I used the temporary glue to
Mm.
squeeze my little triangles together in advance of, putting them on the edges, so, and I have spray basted, of course, with the long arm. You don't need to, it does it for you. But I have, when we've done, strip quilts, absolutely, I've spray basted and rolled each step down as you
Mm.
go. You
Mhm.
spray it, roll it, it stays in place. Only a couple pins need to hold it, it all depends on your project. Some of
Yep.
them lend it, and go, absolutely. I mean,
Yep.
use every tool in your box. That's why we have them, right?
Yeah. So I want to ask real quick, because we're getting almost to wrap up time here. Like Sheila and I always say, this could go on for hours and hours, but we try to keep these ones short. But I'd love to talk about binding the quilt because I know we always get lots of questions about binding with Cuddle, and you've done it a million times. So I'd love to hear your process.
Sometimes it depends what you're binding. I've done bias binding on those wedding quilts, the double wedding rings, and you want a curve and you want that to just
Mhm.
absolutely fit in there so nicely. And bias binding is absolutely easy to do. You just sometimes when you cut your binding, you might cut it a 1/4 inch wider than you normally would, just to give
Mhm.
yourself a little bit of wiggle room.
Yep.
Now, on Quilting Cuddle, it's just a slam dunk. Use it whichever
Mhm.
way you want to use it.
Yep.
And it doesn't need a stabilizer. I've used C3, I've used Lux Cuddle and rolled it and still gotten a really good result, pin a
Mm.
lot. Or you can put a little tiny bit of the 505 glue stick and just pinch the edge down, and
Yep.
you've got a seam already folded over at your 1/4 inch seam when you roll it back over the front, and you're like, woohoo, look at that. I mean, it's just like, I'm a rock star, and all you did was use a little bit of glue, so.
I love that. Anything to help us through the process, right?
Absolutely,
Exactly.
absolutely. And people will go, how did you do that? Oh yeah, I'm just good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
It,
here we are playing with our glue sticks.
there you go.
I know, right?
Right
Right.
on.
That's perfect. That's so great. So when you're doing, so you were talking about the curves, you are cutting your quilting cuddle on the bias.
Yes.
But do you do that all of the time for all of your quilts, or do you
Not
cut them
not
straight with
always,
a fabric?
straight. I cut them straight for a straight line. It all depends what the pattern is going to look
Mhm.
like. If I'm going to do it for bags and stuff like that, absolutely I make bias binding. Because it'll roll over the edge of your sewing, and it just make bias binding on bags is, to me, the only way to go.
Mhm.
It just, I love it so much.
When we were chatting earlier, you called it baby binding.
Yeah.
And I love, I mean, just the technicality of getting a finer, crisper, curve in places where it is hard to do on some of those curves inside bags sometimes.
Yeah.
And honestly, I hadn't tried it, and I'm really excited to add that technique to my experimenting lately. But this is going to be so much fun, and I feel like you've unlocked possibilities for us that we didn't even imagine before.
Yeah, and we've often, talked about how when you're binding with Cuddle, you don't have to cut on the bias, and that's been true of Lux especially, and then even C3. But I love the idea of using it when you're doing any of those specialty, like anything that's going to be tighter curves with
Yep.
Quilting Cuddle, especially because with Quilting Cuddle, it doesn't have that stretch that can kind of, work your way around the curves like a C3 could. So I love just, that detail of doing it on the bias is so smart in those circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
just, sometimes it just works better,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
again, all the little zipper bags and all those
Yeah.
little fun
Mhm.
things that we do, it just makes the process so much easier, and you don't have to
Mhm.
struggle, and you don't have to like, yeah,
Yep.
it
Yeah.
works.
Well, so we this is National Quilting Month, and so we have a giveaway out on um let's see. So
It's
well
on
this
the
is
Shannon Fabrics page, isn't it?
right, the Shannon Fabrics page, but let's see details on how to, oh yeah, so our weekly every week this month we are having a really cool giveaway. This month, what are we having this week? I took a picture of it earlier. It was a really
This
good
week is
giveaway.
it's a quilt kit, so one of the
Yes.
crazy eights, and
Mhm. Oh
then
yeah.
also
The Kai's, a three-piece professional set of sewing scissors from Kai, which is awesome. Those are those micro serrated scissors that we love. So a three-piece kit of that, and then a fat quarter pack of the Cottage Rose Lane, which again I'll show you a quick picture. That's the same that we have that we're giving away today. Either this one or this one, those fat quarter packs, you guys. So that's a weekly that, weekly we'll be doing different ones. That's over on the Shannon Fabrics page. Sorry, in the blog, or is it on the Shannon
I think
Fabrics?
it's everywhere. I've seen it on Instagram. I've seen
Yeah,
it
me
on Facebook.
too.
So
Facebook.
the important thing is to find the post and then go to the form. Like you go to a form. It's not
Mhm.
just commenting on the post. Like
Yes.
that's what we're trying to do this time. That way Shannon can collect your information and then choose the winners from the form. So
And
fill out the
we
form.
can even link to the form out in the comments later too. So if you check back, we can make sure
Sure.
that link to that form is in there. But each week you want to check back because it's going to be a different prize package each week this month using some sort of fun quilty stuff.
So before we go more further, and I know there's more things to talk about, but Audrey asks a really important question. She's asking, is it okay to make a flannel baby blanket top, wash that as a unit, and then press before adding a cuddle back? Do you think that would work? She said
Yes,
she has a last minute baby quilt that's needed and needs to order the cuddle, but I'm guessing she wants to get started on that flannel piecing.
absolutely. I've done them. I washed the flannel. I did one that was a tie-dye flannel top, and I made it with the rag top on the top. I probably washed it 2 or 3 times just to make sure that it was done shrinking. And I put a minky back on it, and there's never been an issue.
Mm.
That's
Quilt it
great.
though. I did quilt it. So,
The
um,
quilting definitely helps. Like it
yeah,
definitely helps stabilize it for
yeah,
sure. Up
yeah.
in the form, I do see the form is out there in the comments now. So you can click that when we're done and go fill out that form for the weekly giveaway. But we do have a giveaway for today. Sheila, do you want to read off our reader?
I do.
Winners?
I'm excited to see this. So we've got winners today. We've got 3 winners: Kathy Hibbler, Jackie Wetzler Farrell, and Ellen Camden. So what we need you 3 gals to do is send an email to info@shannonfabrics.com. Make sure you include your name and your shipping information as well as your phone number. And in the in the subject line of that email, say live winner and mention that you were here today with us for Cuddle Conversations, and that those goodies will be out to you so that you can make some gorgeous stuff with Quilting Cuddle.
Yes. So
That's
Um,
cool.
exciting.
but also before we go, like we want to tell you if you think that we're just here because we don't have anything else to do, we want you to know that there are classes all around the country right now happening. So I'm going to Florida on Thursday. Ajer, you've got a class coming up. Our other ambassadors are crazy busy teaching classes. So go to the Shannon Fabrics page, click on classes and events, and see where a Cuddle class is happening near you. Because if you haven't come to a Cuddle class, you're missing out. They're tons of fun. You learn a ton, and we love doing them. So we want to see you in person, out and about, and we're going out and about. We're everywhere. So
and Sheila and I are going to be together next week. We're both going to be in Atlanta teaching together at the original Sewing Quilting Expo in Atlanta. So if you are near Atlanta, you can still sign up, and those are going to be some super fun classes.
They are, and it's not just Atlanta that's going to have Cuddle classes, but also Lakeland, Florida, and also in Ohio too. So check out the OSQE website and look for those events coming up, and then come to our Cuddle classes, because we want this to be a thing that we get to do all over the place. So it's going to be super fun. If you're going to be at OSQE, be sure to come find us. Sign up for those classes, and
the classes are listed as Cuddle Ambassador, but surprise, for Atlanta, the Cuddle Ambassador is Sheila and I. For Lakeland, is it Lisa and April?
It's Lisa Lewick and April Woodside. And then in Ohio, it's going to be Lisa Lewick, and one of the Cuddle stores up there is actually going to be teaching some of those classes. So lots and lots of fun things coming up. Yeah. Okay. We could keep yapping all day, but we'll be back. Next week is also Sew Together Live, and Lisa Lewick, who is also an expert quilter, piecing, long arming, she does it all. And she's going to be bringing the Sew Together Live next week. So you'll want to tune into that, because we've learned a ton from Billie. We're going to learn a ton from Lisa Lewick. It's National Quilting Month. So tune in. If we did answer your question today, you can go ahead and ask it in the comments, and Lisa will probably answer it for you next week.
And thank you so much, Billie, for joining us today. Thank you for being a part of our chaos, and your answers were awesome.
Thank you.
We loved having you here, and I learned so much. I can't wait to implement those 3/4-inch strips of interfacing. That's going to be a game changer. So thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Happy sewing, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.